Downhill duo Meghan and Harry's plummeting popularity is accelerating into a full-blown mega crisis after a friend of the Duchess disgracefully accused Donald Trump of staging the assassination attempt on his life. Soon after Trump so narrowly escaped death in a hail of snipers' bullets, Meg's actress podcast pal Amanda Seales was on social media telling her 193,000 followers that the shocking rifle attack was a deliberate fabrication. While the wounded presidential candidate was being rushed to hospital with blood pouring from his ear and a hero father died protecting his family, Ms. Seales was busy insisting the horrifying carnage was fake. It was all made up. Tell that to the heartbroken wife and children of former Fire Chief Cory Comparatore, who threw himself across his loved ones to protect them and perished in the crossfire. "Where did the blood come from?" inquired Amanda angrily before claiming the red stuff streaming down Trump's face was clearly from theatrical blood pellets. She went on to declare that in New York's tough Harlem district, she'd heard enough guns going off to know that the sinister crack, crack, crack that brought terror to the Pennsylvania rally sounded like popcorn on the stove. Small hands Trump would not respond by raising his fist in the air triumphantly were an actual attempt made on his life, concluded the star of HBO's hit show Insecure. What does she think? That Trump told a little spotty-faced, notoriously bad shot to hit his ear but make sure he missed his head? Come on! Out of respect to courageous Cory and the two other victims who were critically injured, Ms. Seales really should apologise. But will she? Don't bet the farm on it. What Meghan makes of her friend's sickening intervention, we can only speculate. Is the Duchess regretting endorsing a shameless conspiracy theorist as one of the celebrity guests on her Dullsville podcast series Archetypes? If not, why not? Either way, the awful Amanda issue just adds to Meghan and Harry's growing unpopularity problem. With the benefit of hindsight, is the Prince finally realising that accepting the Pat Tillman Award for military veterans against the express wishes of the late, great American war hero's mother Mary was a massive mistake? If not, why not? As beaming Harry collected his honour at a glamorous Hollywood ceremony and compared his love for his mother, Princess Diana, to Mary Tillman's love for her courageous son, Meghan leapt to her feet to applaud her husband with an excited standing ovation. Everyone else in the front row, including the Duchess's tennis legend buddy Serena Williams, stayed firmly seated. An embarrassing spectacle that was sad to see. Glittering gong duly received, self-serving speech made, showbiz smiles for the cameras delivered. Harry and Meghan ducked out and headed home to Montecito long before the event ended. So, as he considers his uncertain future behind the gilded gates of his Californian castle in the sun, can't the directionless Duke come up with something better to do than filming a stupefying series about polo, the rich, chinless wonders horse sport that no one cares about? If not, why not? A lot of questions there, Simon, but seriously, this friend of Meghan's, I mean, Meghan really should cut ties with her. What a disgusting thing to do, to start saying this was not true, this was faked by a man who just nearly got killed by an assassin's bullet. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people need to wait for the dust to settle on these major events. We've seen it happen time and time again, where not all the facts are out, but people like to sort of say this has been done by an immigrant or this has been done by this person. We've seen it over here a few times. Seen it happen in Australia. People didn't know all the facts that happened with that man in the shopping mall who was shooting people, and it is just kind of a bit ridiculous to start sort of spouting these conspiracy theories within 24 hours of something happening. However,
You're going to defend her now,
I
are
was
you?
about to-
However,
Oh,
she's a
Simon,
great
it's
actress.
changed.
However, what? Look, hold on, drum roll.
This is the environment that Trump has created because of
piss off.
his this election is rigged. He goes out and tells everybody.
Come on.
He
You're
goes out
blaming Trump for getting shot.
I'm not blaming him for getting shot. I didn't say that at all. I'm blaming him for stoking the fires.
But what about Biden saying put him in the bullseye? Biden created this atmosphere.
That creates an environment
it's the
where
crazed Democrats who've created
It's not the crazed
this environment.
Democrats. It's not the crazed Democrats. It's Trump who's created this environment.
Well, Biden only last week said put him in the bullseye. Didn't he? Biden's rhetoric has been an absolute bloody disgrace.
Of a hammer when
it's been a disgrace.
When Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked.
Biden, step down and piss off right now, you old git.
And Trump posted a picture of a hammer. They're both as bad as each other.
Yeah, Samara, your thoughts on this? Yeah, I mean, the point about this was that Amanda Seales, what a arsehole she is. She is a classic sufferer of extreme Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
A man nearly lost his life. Another man was killed.
Yes.
Two are fighting for their life. And that excuse for a woman puts on social media that it was all fake. It was all staged. Who the hell does she think she is?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, if it was staged, there wouldn't be a 20-year-old who can't even shoot properly being the proponent of this disaster. A man was killed. Does she want to answer for that? No. She's in her Calabasas mansion, which I've checked is over $3 million. She's on her pool cabana, spouting conspiracy theories to her multiple millions of followers. So yeah, it's a little bit more serious.
Well, 193,000.
All right. Well, but millions of people did see the
not that
video.
popular.
Yeah, exactly. I'm giving her a bit more credit than she actually deserves here. But it's frankly ridiculous to say that, people have little theories about what happens. It's very dangerous to be saying that it was just a piece of popcorn and some, popcorn shot and then some random fake blood. Someone died. Someone's father died.
Look, Simon, I'll cut you some slack. Trump is a combative man, and his rhetoric is challenging. I agree with that. That's politics. But don't say that he created the environment, because Biden's campaign has been based on disgraceful rhetoric in which he's called Trump the enemy of democracy. He's styled him. He's positioned Trump as some kind of devil incarnate. He said, let's put him in the bullseye, and so on and so forth. It is the Democrats that have created this violent atmosphere, not Trump. Not Trump. Why, if I'm not telling the truth, why did Biden apologise for his language?
Because
his language was violent.
Ask me a question, let me answer it. Biden apologised because he has a sense of decency. Trump tweeted a picture of a hammer and a vest when Nancy Pelosi's husband
you're still blaming him for getting shot?
No, I'm not blaming Trump for getting shot. I think it's appalling what happened with somebody trying to assassinate Trump, and I'm with Biden all the way. That's not how you run a democracy. You don't shoot one another. You debate like we do, forcefully, angrily. We take the mickey out of one another, but we don't bring guns. You haven't brought a gun, have you? We don't bring guns to the show. We don't bring guns to the show and shoot one another. However, you will not get me to change my mind that the main proponent of this horrible atmosphere has been created by Donald Trump. From the moment he started getting people to chant, lock her up to Hillary, from the moment he got people to chant, send her back to the, I forgot the name.
She was a crook.
Yeah, she was a crook. But he has
created... They should have locked her up.
He has helped create an environment that does this. Now, to go to this stupid actress...
Politicians do
Let me just say about this stupid actress, though. You need to wait. Well, you need to wait 24 hours before you come spouting out conspiracy theory bollocks. But that is not Meghan Markle's fault.
This is it.
That is not Meghan Markle's fault.
This is it. I'll accept that you're suffering from a Trump derangement syndrome in a milder way than Amanda Seales.
Thank you.
But you are suffering from it.
I'm not.
This is a massive problem. That all these people, and that's what the Democrats have been doing since day one. That's Joe Biden's attack on Trump is... This man is the devil. This man tried to cause a revolution in America. This man is the enemy of democracy. No, he's not. He's the next bloody president.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can remember Kathy Griffin holding up Donald Trump's severed head. You know, the Democrats are completely, well, a fake severed head, but, you know, the Democrats are completely complicit in what has happened, in my opinion, because they have spun a lot of rhetoric about Trump. He's easily the most divisive and hated character in America, depending on which side that you stand on, and that's because they don't stop.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what, on the off chance, and by the way, we're filming this before the weekend when it is expected that old fossil Jurassic Joe will step down. He's finally accepted that he's senile and he can't carry on like this.
He's not senile, he's just old.
He's senile.
He's old.
Senile. He's senile.
Trump is just as mental, by the way.
He's
Trump
got
is also
dementia.
the same age.
Hey, Simon, he's got dementia. If he was just old, then he could be the president.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is old. He's got his marbles. He's got his
Trump
faculties.
does not have his marbles.
He does.
And just to go back to something...
Speaking of the shooting...
You're just as bad as Amanda Seals. You've got Trump derangement syndrome.
I do not have Trump derangement
syndrome. By the way, when you
syndrome.
say he's hated across America, if that old fossil does continue to stand as the Democrat candidate, come November the 5th, when it is the presidential election, you're going to find that that old git, is more hated than Donald Trump because Donald Trump will thrash him in that election.
I do not want...
That will prove it, won't it?
I don't want Biden to stand. I think ego is getting in the way. I hope that Biden stands down. Trump is mentally deranged. I'm sorry, but he is.
See,
and
look,
also,
you're just proving my
let me
point.
finish. And also,
you're proving my point.
And also, a man who stands up and says, "I'm not going to allow any more Muslims into the country," is exactly like the man who stands up and says, "What are we going to do about this Jewish problem?" People liken Trump to Hitler
because of the Israel,
when did he say, "What are we going to do about this Jewish problem"? When did he
I'm
say
saying Hitler said that. Trump said.
Well, you're likening
Trump
him
said.
Oh, come on, shut up.
We're not going to have any.
Shut up.
I'm going to have
Just
a Muslim
shut up,
ban.
Simon.
I'm going to have a Muslim ban.
This is madness.
That is banning a religion.
You're mad.
That is banning.
You're mad.
That is
you're
banning
mad
a religion.
with Trump derangement syndrome. You're mad with it.
I need to pull you out of Trump's backside.
You
love Trump.
You're talking absolute crap.
You're so far up his backside. All I can see is your shoes.
Samara? Shut up. Let the lady speak.
No, Simon, honestly...
I know you don't like women speaking.
Yeah,
you like to talk over
exactly.
them.
I mean, look, I think... Thank you, Kevin.
I love women speaking, just not
let me
you.
speak.
You love women speaking as long as they know their place, right?
Indeed.
Samara,
look.
say something intelligent because we've had nothing but deranged nonsense from this idiot.
Say something intelligent, Samara.
When you compare Hitler to a Nazi, the amount of people
that is bad, man.
It's Hitler to a Nazi. Oh my God, when you compare Trump to a Nazi, it's ridiculous. I think that you really need to tone it down. It's this type of rhetoric that got him shot in the first place. You're exactly the problem, Simon. You're the problem with the other side.
Really, man. You're comparing it to Hitler.
So wait there.
You must see that is Trump derangement.
So wait there.
He's not Hitler.
I need to catch up. Okay, is it Meghan's fault that Amanda said that, or is it my fault that Trump got shot?
No, it's
because within 10 minutes we've gone from Meghan shouldn't be friends with this woman to Simon, you're the reason that Trump got shot. I mean, you've got to have some levity. You've got to have some levity with this
conversation. The funny side of the assassination.
You've got to have some levity with this situation. Trump created an atmosphere that the Democrats play into, and both sides are almost as bad as one another in the way that they create this toxic, aggressive, nasty atmosphere against one another.
However, by saying things like, he's like Hitler.
However, when Trump started by saying, I want a Muslim ban of all Muslims coming into the country, that is the sort of thing that Hitler says.
No, we're not having it. We're not having it.
You two are the deranged
ones.
ones.
It is time for a bad ad.
With the palms gently swaying in the breeze and the garden in full bloom, it's a pleasure to buy from Noel's Caravans. Isn't that right?
Oh yes, from people who care about their customers.
And take great pride in their product.
Choose from Noel's Island Star range or their great selection of quality used vans. And you'll love the way they do business.
Knowles caravans, Knowles caravans, Knowles caravans, Knowles caravans.
I mean, there's another advert from your fine country.
It's Australia. I'm surprised that you're surprised, Kevin.
Yeah. And you'll be interested in that because you're a caravanner, aren't you?
Lovely.
I like nothing better than spending my weekends.
My Trump derangement
My Trump
syndrome.
I just go there, rocking back and
Get
forth.
in your caravan
going,
and you go,
Trump.
Trump's Hitler.
I think that should be Biden's retirement plan. Go
Yes.
to Knowles Caravans, get your caravan, and get the hell out of the White House.
Yeah.
Your caravan would be full of posters of Trump all over it, which you'd go into and sit there going, yes, oh, Mr.
Yeah, all over the outside.
Yeah.
Jesus
Go
candles.
Donald. Make America great again. I'm going to get a caravan like that. Actually, I keep having a row with my wife. This is a secret, but
Come on then, let's
I want
share.
to go on a mobile home holiday.
Tell you,
Yeah,
I hired
target
one.
audience
Hired one
reach.
for a week. Best week I've ever had.
There you go.
Driving
There
around.
you go. So,
do it. It's
well, if
good.
you want to do it again, can I recommend Knowles Caravans?
Yeah,
So
indeed.
they're a
But
long way away.
I'm not going with those old swingers.
Okay, I think we're going to do some of our mailbag now. So, ladies first, Simon.
I think Simon's hunky. The other two should pay him far more respect. And that's from Mary Rue. Thank you, Mary.
Mary, 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 you just made that up.
I didn't. Mary Rue.
Oh, you know Mary Rue, don't you?
Did you troll the internet to find the one positive comment?
I know why she sent you that, because you were kind to her guide dog, right? You patted. Yes. Very good. Samara.
Party Animal says, oh, for God's sake, Simon is a complete twit, just looking for fame and money.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to find that here, aren't I?
Well, you made a sort of slight amount of fame, but not much money. That goes for all of us, by the way. Simon, next.
This one from Val Prince, written from what I can only describe as a mental institution. I've got a massive crush on Kevin. Unfortunately, I'm pushing 70 years, so it's probably not that flattering. Also, Simon, stop being the pantomime villain. You can't defend the indefensible.
Val, you're a woman of taste. Thank you very much. And there's nothing wrong with being nearly 70. I'm saying that for a friend. Samara.
Judy said, Simon may be on the obnoxious pair's payroll. I honestly cannot fathom how he defends Harry and his disgusting wife. Oh, Simon, wake up to the real facts. From Australia. Judy.
So, who's that again?
Judy's got sense.
Disgusting wife. Judy, you're worse than me. Right, it's time for a real break now. Hey, here are some ads. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Let's talk about diversity, equality, and inclusivity. DEI for short. The thoroughly modern, woefully woke obsession that took over the world and turned it mad. So mad, it nearly got Donald Trump killed, thanks to a pathetic Secret Service chief who prioritised the health and safety of her diminutive little female agents over the health and safety of the 6'2" tall presidential candidate they were supposed to be protecting. More of this farcical failure later. But how did we get to the point where America's most senior security executives' focus was not on the important job she had to do, but on the touchy-feely, be kind doctrine of diversity? It all started way back in the 1960s with the best intentions, to strive to address unfairness in the workplace, to cultivate an environment in which everyone feels valued, and to increase the representation of historically marginalised groups such as people of colour and those with physical disabilities. So far, so good. But from this admirable acorn, a mighty dangerous oak has grown. DEI has evolved into a frightening insanity that threatens our very future. A magnet for vacuous virtue signalers, it is now the all-powerful enemy of common sense, the crazed cause of deranged decisions that defy belief. Britain's Ministry of Defence shells out £3.4 million a year on a vast army of 62 staff whose sideshow role is to effectively hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Wouldn't that money be better spent on, I don't know, soldiers, tanks, warships, fighter jets, weapons, that sort of thing. You know, the kind of stuff that actually defends the nation. Ludicrously, the MOD's highly paid DEI divisions style themselves as protecting the protectors. From what? The horrific prospect of toiling alongside male and pale Caucasians. Meanwhile, the UK's National Health Service employs 800 diversity officers at an astronomical cost of a staggering £40 million. None of these medically unqualified, pointless people contribute a damn thing to the treatment of patients. But for sheer wacko, epic, gaga lunacy, I give you Kimberly Cheatle, the director of the United States Secret Service. Former head of security at Pepsi Cola, the absurd Miss Cheatle was responsible for the shambles that almost cost Donald Trump his life. She decided not to post agents on the roof from which America's 45th president was shot because she said it was too slopey for health and safety reasons. Despite this disastrous debacle, Calamity Kimberly is refusing to resign. So blinded by her devotion to diversity, she can't see what she did wrong. Unsurprisingly, this laughing-stock woman was the personal choice of First Lady Dr. Jill Biden, who, like so many pseudo-academics, is obsessed with DEI, and so is right-on politically correct Kimberly, whose personal mission is to make sure that at least 30% of her secret agents are women. Let's hope that not too many of them are like the strikingly short and rather plump females who so spectacularly failed to save Trump from being shot. As they gathered around his waist, he towered head and shoulders above them. Luckily, by then, the rifleman was dead after finally being taken out. But boy, oh boy, if you want an egregious example of the ridiculous religion of DEI killing common sense, look no further than the horrific moment we came so perilously close to an assassination catastrophe. Of course, there's nothing wrong with equality and giving everyone an even break, but this demented diversity fixation is fast becoming a pervasive scourge that is turning the Western world into a dysfunctional basket case. It's got to stop, hasn't it, Samara?
Yeah, absolutely. And Kimberly Cheatle has come out today and she said, the buck stops with me. All right, how about taking accountability for what happened then? Because I've really seen absolutely zero accountability on her part for what happened on, was it Saturday, Sunday now?
Saturday.
So, yeah, Saturday. So I just think that it's absolutely, you know, a real travesty. And it does show that when we hire people just to tick a box, this is kind of what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Simon, you know, I'm not against diversity. You know, we work for a company that's got a diversity department. There's not too many people in it. You know, fine, you know, and I'm all for what diversity is supposed to be about, giving people an even break, you know, giving people of colour who used to be marginalised an even break, people who have disabilities, and particularly in Britain to smash the class system, to give to hire people on their merits rather than their posh parents' ability to afford public schools. I'm all for that, but it has gone way over the top. It is now an absolute insanity, as I say, is turning us all into a basket case. And, you know, Kimberly Cheatle, you know, I was a bit worried about my offices because that roof was too slopey. It wasn't very slopey for a start. It certainly wasn't too slopey for that little jerk to get onto the roof and try and kill Trump. This is insane. And then she goes on to television and says, well, that's why I did it. She's, as I said, she's so blind to her diversity insanity that she can't see she did anything wrong. This is really dangerous.
Look, a lot to unpick there, as usual. I mean, I think that diversity, inclusion, and giving a voice to underrepresented groups is a good thing. Like you say, and that's good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this sometimes goes to the extreme, which then has to be pulled back because.
But it's not being pulled back. That's the problem.
Because people.
Also, the extreme in this case was the president being almost shot in the head.
Yes, but it sometimes goes to the extreme and then is pulled back to because it overcompensates.
But it doesn't get pulled back.
But it overcompensates. I mean, look, we've talked. We've talked a lot about. We've talked a lot about kind of, you know, Jill Biden there. She's
Dr. Jill Biden.
Dr. Jill Biden. She's an appointment by Jill Biden.
Yeah,
and unfortunately,
she's a doctor of education. I'd recommend you read it.
I'm about to become even more unpopular in the thread below than I am normally by saying the elephant in the room here is the Second Amendment and how a kid that mucked up is able to get hold of an automatic rifle.
No.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not having that.
Listen,
let me tell you about
Jill Biden doesn't shoot at President Trump. Some deranged kid with a gun.
Yeah, but look. Let me tell you about the right to bear arms, and it's a sacred tenet of the American tradition, and I approve of it entirely because what it represents, in the end, is the power of the individual over the state. You are responsible for yourself. The mother government is not responsible for you, and you have power over that. That's why Americans are able to arm themselves. It's philosophical, and I approve of it.
And you know something? I think that's fine, but I think that there needs to be checks and balances on that. A kid who can get hold of his dad's a kid who's obviously mucked up. Everybody's saying that this kid had problems, was a loner and everything else. A kid who's able to get hold of his dad's automatic rifle, that needs to be looked at. That is,
you know what also needs to be looked at? The fact that 160 yards away, a shooter was able to get that close to President Trump with a gun. Then someone tried to
stop. Samara, 130.
Oh, was it? Oh, God, sorry.
I'm a stickler for accuracy.
No. So, well, that's even worse. 130. It's even closer than I originally thought. So, yeah, that's kind of also the issue.
He could have missed from a yard, you know.
But
what about these tiny little female agents? I mean, not only were they very short, they were rather dumpy. They were a bit plump, to say the least. They were badly out of shape. They looked in a complete state of panic. One of them was like trying to get a gun back in her holster or something. And you could see her saying, what do we do now? They were not fit for the job, but they are part of Kimberly Cheatle's sacred mission to get 30% of her agents to be women. By the way, what's equal about that? How about 50%? That's equal.
You know something?
No, hang on. Come on.
Come on, an underrepresented group. Let's hear from you.
Look, I mean...
It's diversity.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to comment on the body size of the age.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
The Trump family
by the way, those women surrounding... those secret agents. I think I've seen them in a film with Snow White.
Look, there were some equally dumpy-looking men also guarding Trump, I've got to say. But, you know, the Trump family's come out and said, oh, the Secret Service...
Shut up, I don't want any of this... all this woke claptrap.
See what it's like?
What about them then?
But I do want to say that I completely agree with you because because when you see Trump stand up,
backtracking well.
You know, she's literally half the size of him.
I know.
Okay. I mean, they might have been good to guard him at a general rally, but in this situation, they did not fulfill the task that they were actually meant to do.
Look, the whole thing about the American Secret Service were always the envy of the world, brilliant at their jobs. If you saw the 1981 assassination attempt on Reagan, the way they just dived on him. Now, Reagan was a very tall guy, and so were his Secret Service agents. It's not about sexism. It's not about, trying to be fair and equal. It's about people who are qualified for the job. And the proverbial taking the bullet. How are you going to take a bullet for a 6'2" guy if you only come up to his bloody waist?
Okay, there's another thing here as well that you two have to admit that your orange boyfriend has failed to pay so many venues that nobody wants him to be in a venue anymore. He owes so much money where he's had these...
He owes so much... The derangement syndrome in the house.
He
owes so much money to so many venues where he's held rallies and they're not paid the bills.
That's why
he's having to do them in fields and in barns and in rodeos, places that are difficult to defend.
There's a tangent you're going off on.
Places that are
Shut
difficult.
up, I don't
Places
give
that-
a damn.
places that are
Who
difficult-
gives a damn about what he owns the venues? We're talking about a man who was nearly killed.
Yes.
Yeah, and also
if
he was going to a venue that was accessible by the people
talking
of
about
Butler.
irrelevant crap
No,
trap.
if he was in a venue, if he was inside in a venue, it's easier to defend. It's hard to defend the outside where people can be anywhere. You read about it. He owes so much money that his campaign has not paid to people that no one will rent a
Well,
space
they'll get
to
the money
him.
now because the money is pouring into his campaign.
Yeah, it's pouring in. Will he
Absolutely
pay them? Of
pouring
course
in.
not. He's
By the way, you will accept he is the next president of the United States.
grudgingly, I think
Thank
it's
you.
going to happen. But hopefully, please, Joe, step aside.
Time for a bad ad.
For the best premix deals on the planet, there's only one place to go. The Premix King. For all the latest brands. For the best service in the business. For awesome deals on beer, wine and spirit. For the complete package. The Premix King. They don't just cook it up, they back it up. When you want the best, there's only one place to go. The Premix King. Locations, locations, locations. There's got to be one near you. The Premix King.
Calm down, guys. Now, I guess one way to make money in Australia is to sell alcohol, right?
Yeah, they've clearly tapped into the supply there before filming that ad. I can assure you.
They've been pre-mixing themselves.
Yes.
Pre-mixed as rats, aren't they?
Yeah.
Completely pissed.
Yeah, no, it's a great lucrative business.
Actually, I just said completely pissed. That's for the British audience. For the Americans, completely drunk. Hammered.
Translation.
Yeah.
Slaughtered.
And in Australia, just a regular
Mortal.
day. Yeah.
We're going to go to a real ad now. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back. Next up, we're going to be talking about the new vice presidential candidate, JD Vance. Take a look at this.
By the way, I have to beat up on the UK just one additional thing. I was talking with a friend recently, and we were talking about, one of the big dangers in the world, of course, is nuclear proliferation, though, of course, the Biden administration doesn't care about it. And I was talking about, what is the first truly Islamist country that will get a nuclear weapon? And we were like, maybe it's Iran, maybe Pakistan already kind of counts. And then we sort of finally decided maybe it's actually the UK, since Labour just took over.
Well, I think JD Vance has got a point. And of course, all of our virtue-signalling politicians, particularly Labour politicians over here, are going, oh, no, that's an outrageous thing to say. So, but millions of people all over this country, all over Britain, I think, are going, yeah, he's got a point. What he's saying is that under Labour, we already have, I think, an Islamic problem here. There's nothing wrong with all these Muslims living here, 7 million of them, most of them good, hard-working citizens who are part of the community. It's the extremists that put up candidates to stand in our election and just say this is just for Gaza. I think it's very disturbing that we're now getting politicians in Westminster and in local authorities whose only policy is pro-Palestine, free Palestine, anti-Israel. Nothing to do with Britain, nothing to do with this country. So when JD Vance says this is under Labour, Britain is in danger of becoming an Islamic state, I think a lot of people all over the country are going to, that's going to chime with them, isn't it, Samara?
Yeah, absolutely. And it actually represents how tapped into how people are actually thinking JD Vance actually is. Because he can kind of understand that everyone's on Twitter, everyone's kind of on YouTube, they're watching videos of London and the rallies that we've been having weekend after weekend, and they can actually see the footage that is there. And I think it does show that that's how people are thinking about England globally and the UK in general, and sort of taking what they think from that and sort of saying, hey, there's a bit of a problem going on here.
We've got 4 MPs, members of Parliament now, who are exclusively devoted to Gaza.
We are.
This is for Gaza. Do you find it disturbing, Simon, what we have politicians now who are standing on a ticket to do with a foreign war thousands of miles away? That's the only thing they're interested in?
No, I don't, surprisingly.
You think it's good, do you?
Well, ultimately, this is a problem that's going to come onto our shores if we don't oppose it, isn't it? These people will migrate from there and we will have more immigrants come into this country because of the wars that are happening that we've been a part of. We saw it with Iraq, we saw it with Syria, we saw it with Afghanistan. So it follows that we'll probably get Palestinians coming in and it will add to our immigration problem. Yeah. On what JD Vance said, I mean, I think it's a ridiculous thing to say.
It's not ridiculous.
I think it's a ridiculous thing to say. I don't give a,
we don't
give a shit about your opinion. My opinion is that it's a ridiculous thing to say.
Here we go again. Here we
well,
go
that's
again.
it. Okay, he's not backing it up.
Yeah, all right.
Simon says it's ridiculous. He doesn't know why. He just thinks it's ridiculous.
Because
it's not ridiculous,
I think,
mate.
you know, to be fair...
Look. Every Saturday, every weekend, in cities all over this country, particularly in London, you have these huge pro-Palestine marches snaking through the towns, snaking through the cities. Sometimes in London, they're 300, 400,000 strong.
Yep.
One thing, pro-Palestine, free Palestine, from the river to the sea. They are full of hatred for Israel. They are full of hatred for Jews. They're anti-Semitic.
Yep.
And if you don't see that as a problem, I feel sorry for you. It is a problem,
Yeah,
isn't
it was the number one voting issue in a lot of constituencies. And then we saw that with who ended up getting elected. And as I said, it's really interesting that now America's even seeing that we've got a bit of a problem here.
It's not. It's not
a problem.
It's not a problem. I mean, ultimately, we're having these marches. You kind of look at how many people got voted in. It's not like we're getting. I mean, it's
four.
That's like four.
They're the sixth biggest party in our parliament.
It's like the Green Party or Reform. They're not. They're the what's it called? The squeaky wheel gets the most oil. They get the most coverage and they get the most people talking about them, but they are not a major problem. And the idea that we can just equate people marching for Palestine as the Islamification of Great Britain is a ridiculous thing to say by a man who compared Trump to Hitler. What do you think of that? Vance compared Trump to Hitler.
You know who else?
He did,
you know who else compared?
I must admit, he did. Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. But you know who else said that? David Lammy, our foreign secretary.
Well, David Lammy is called Trump a neo-Nazi sympathising psychopath. So quite what that's going to do for diplomacy between our two great countries, I don't know. David Lammy is a standing disaster. Foreign Secretary, he couldn't run a bar.
Yeah, exactly. So why are we getting upset when JD says that stuff about the United Kingdom? Because David Lammy, who's actually elected, is saying much worse things about the future president.
JD Vance called Trump called Trump Hitler. What have you got to say about that?
Look.
What have you got to say about that? I would like Samara to answer that.
It's my bloody show, and I'll answer that question.
Please do, Kevin.
JD Vance, it's hope for you. It's hope for there's a source of hope for you.
For me.
Yeah.
So you can have Trump derangement syndrome and then be cured. So JD Vance has been cured. He now sees sense. And actually, he sees, what he's come to see is that when Trump was president, I don't think he was a great president, but he was by no means a bad president. One of the reasons he's going to win the election is Americans look back to his presidency and said life was a lot better then than it has been under old Jurassic Joe. That's one of the reasons.
Not true.
It is.
No, the economy is doing better under Joe.
No, but people are poorer. Law and order. The cities are falling apart at the seams. That southern border,
especially the Democratic ones,
is a scandal. It is a humanitarian.
Well, we can cherry pick the bits that we like, and we can ignore the bits we don't.
We're not talking about that. Let's sod that. Let's talk about the Islamification of Britain. The point is, as I say, I have no problem with a 7 million strong Muslim community in this country. The problem is that among that community, there are sizable, significant elements that are extremists. They want to overthrow our system. They want to introduce Sharia law. And I'll tell you what you can do with Sharia law. You can shove it where the sun don't shine.
Listen, sorry, Samara, you're about to say something. Go on.
No, I was just
politeness in his old age.
Okay.
Suddenly realising.
What are your thoughts?
Okay, let me take that.
Yeah, all right, let the guys talk, Samara.
If you won't mind waiting in the drawing room.
We smoke cigars.
Speaking of Sharia law,
like a glass of port, Simon?
Sharia law happening right here.
The biggest, for me, the biggest problem, the biggest problem with the Muslim religion or Islam is that you're not allowed to poke fun at it. And I think that's dangerous. You know, you wouldn't be able to have a Life of Brian you know, Monty Python's Life of Brian. You couldn't do the same thing.
Or Charlie
And I think-
Hebdo cartoons.
Yeah, precisely. And I think anything that you can't make fun of or doesn't have a sense of humour about itself is very, very dangerous. That's the thing that I find most dangerous about it. To me, in terms of kind of people coming in and sort of we want people to come here. We want people to assimilate. We want people.
Well, I think we wouldn't mind putting the brakes on it.
Okay,
for a
but
bit
we
now.
want
The key word is assimilate. We have
people
a
to be
great
good-
country with great values.
Yes, but we want people to be good citizens. We want people to be good
most of
citizens.
them are, but some of them are not.
While still maintaining their own national pride. You're Australian. You're a proud Australian.
look, these people-
However, the scaremongering about these words like Lee Anderson, the Islamification, the aggressive Muslims, this anti-Semitism.
Well, there are aggressive Muslims.
There are some people.
300,000 snaking through the.
But we can't paint all people like that. We can't get.
I'm not painting them all like that.
Hysterical
it's
about
the extremists that we have to worry about.
Indeed.
And they're very vocal and they're very powerful and they want to bring back medieval laws about blasphemy. You can't take Muhammad's name in vain, and if you do, you go to jail. All that kind of nonsense that is not commensurate.
They're a tiny minority,
It's not
Kevin.
commensurate with a modern country like
They're a
Britain.
tiny minority.
These people are Neanderthals, and there's a problem there. And I say that stressing once again that, of course, the vast majority of Muslims live here, are decent citizens, hard-working, just doing what the rest of us do, trying to put a roof over their heads and feed their families. But you've got these ideologues, these mad extremists that are very, very worrying. They really are.
So it's just like kind of like we have in our own religions, you know, Catholic and Church of England.
We don't really,
about
do
the
we?
idea about
We don't.
sex before
We've got any
marriage.
Church of England people
No,
saying
but
bring
also
back the...
I think-
Wait a
sex
second,
before
look,
marriage.
we've got any Church of England people or Catholics or even Jewish people saying bring back the blasphemy laws. We haven't, have we?
They're a small minority. There's always a small vocal minority. There were some
Well, they're
people...
not that
And that's
small.
what we're
They're not
talking
that
about.
small.
That is what we're talking about.
And that's what I'm impressing on people. I don't believe that it's this kind of deluge that Kevin thinks it is. I just don't believe it is.
You wait
it's
until you're getting hung or something, hanged, I should say, by the Sharia lawmakers.
Well, I hope to be well hung one day.
Yeah. Well, that's never going to happen.
all right.
Time for a bad ad.
This winter, the hottest prices in town. McLean's Bulk Store. Rolls and remnants of vinyl, a huge range. Pallets of floating floors, many at half price. Yes, half price! McLean's Bulk Store, Coglan Street, Brompton.
Carpets, I believe. Is that where you carpeted your home when you were living in Australia?
I didn't have a home.
Didn't have a carpet. Couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford it. You're always too drunk drinking premixes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Down at Gigolo's.
This is a very triggering
Lived
show.
in one of
I'm
those
not gonna
Noel's
lie.
caravans.
Waiting for a wishbone
Very
chicken.
good.
All the ads are coming together nicely, aren't they?
Yeah, Chuck's really pulling on the
Synergy.
purse strings. Yeah, it's,
So don't they have carpets in? Well, they obviously have carpets, half price.
yeah, they
At
do.
the bulk
but
store.
at the bulk store where you can clearly there's a little garden gnome selling them to you. So yeah, it's amazing.
Well, that little garden gnome whose last job was protecting Donald Trump.
That's too good.
Time now for a real ad. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back. It's time now for more of your fabulous messages. I'm going to thank you once again. It's almost getting monotonous, isn't it? But keep them coming in because this is a good bit of the show where everybody sends in their messages and we take the piss out of Simon. You first, Samara.
Rose has said, Kevin, do you search the country for the most irritating people to go on your panel? Simon argues with you for the sake of it. He's boring and irritating, just like JJ was. Glad he's gone. Please consider getting someone else other than Simon. Spoils the viewing.
Who is that from?
That's from Rose.
Rose, very good point. Boring and irritating.
Yeah. I love these people. Oh, I want to watch a debate show, but only where everyone agrees with me.
Well, no one agrees with you. What do you got, Simon?
I've got from Jean Olivetree. Hang in there, Simon. I'm not sure I'd be able to put up with Kevin's insults and outbursts. Someone will have to rein him in a bit. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's that person's name again?
Jean Olivetree.
Is that your second name, Jean? That's a very unusual second name. But, I am what I am. What can I do about it? But yeah, Simon's here to be shouted at. And I have very few talents in life, but I'm not a bad shouter. Am I, Samara? What have you got for us?
Talking about triggered, Barney has said, what a pity Kevin O'Sullivan can't shut his big mouth long enough for his guests to get a word in edgeways. So rude.
Can I shut my big mouth? No, that's what I'm here for. OK, over to you again, Simon, if we must.
Patty Cummings says, Simon says to be nice to the elderly, but out of the other side of his mouth, he is rude and says nasty things about Thomas Markle. Simon, do you know what it's like not to see grandchildren? Yes, because I don't have any.
Well, fairly soon, I would imagine. But yeah, you were very nasty about Thomas Markle.
Yeah,
I think you are a very ageist person. I mean, you're having a go at Donald Trump. Poor old Donald's at like 79 or so. So, just lay off the aged. What is it you hate about old people?
I love old people.
You are just a mass. You're just a mass of prejudice.
I dislike Thomas Markle. I detest Donald Trump. And I think Joe Biden should step aside. But I'm not.
Look at him! Honestly, you're
guilty.
You're such a bastard. Yeah, guilty. You see, he admits it. Samara.
Pamela said, sorry, Simon, you are not the reason I watch the show. You never have anything to say that I agree with. Yeah, fair income.
Well, that goes for all of us.
Did you say fair dinkum?
Yeah, that's my Australian viewers. That's my Australian viewers.
You said fair dinkum naturally. You did. What are you going to come next week? Next week you're going to turn up with a sort of hat with corks hanging off.
I've got it waiting outside.
Actually, we should get you one of those hats, shouldn't we?
I love this from Kathleen. Please show respect and stop calling him Simple Simon. He has repeatedly said that he doesn't wish to be called this. I have, and they do.
Well, that's precisely why we call him that. Whatever he doesn't want, we do. So, Simple Simon, thank you for that. By the way, I got a question for you, Samara. If I'm just picturing in my mind if all three of us for the next show do sit here wearing hats with corks hanging off. Would that be cultural appropriation?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll make sure that you get cancelled, both of you. Yeah, big time.
Anyway, Colbert, what have you got next for us?
Priya has said Simon standing up for the way Harry treated Pat Tillman's mother is disgusting. The loss of a parent is one thing, the loss of a child is much worse. It's rich for Simon to talk about decorum. He's actually deluded.
She's got a very good point, hasn't she, there, Simon? I think what she said there was fair dinkum.
Get this man a hat.
Rosalind Campbell says, Samara, just letting you know that Alice Springs is not, in capitals, at the top of Australia. I'm an Aussie and find you an embarrassment to the country. Simon is just as bad as JJ. She finishes with that. Yeah. And that's from Rosalind Campbell.
Nice one, Rosalind. So Alice Springs, is that where that big rock is?
Yes, it is in the middle.
What kind of Australian are you? It's your country's most sacred monument, you know?
No, it's in the middle of Australia.
Is it called Hanging Rock or something?
I'm sorry, I mixed up Broome and Alice Springs.
Yeah. Useless.
I know.
So what's that rock called? Ayers Rock, isn't it?
Yeah, Ayers Rock. Yeah, that is called.
Telling you things about your
own. It's not called Ayers Rock. What's it called?
Uluru.
Oh no, it's got Uluru, an Aboriginal name.
Uluru. Indigenous. I don't think
Indigenous Australians. Sorry, Indigenous. Did I say Aborigines?
Yeah, come on, keep up with the woke.
I failed geography.
Keep up with the woke terminology.
Yeah, come on.
Keep up with the woke terminology. I think that on that bombshell, I think we've come to the end of another explosive show. So thank you, Simon, Simple Simon London. I think you've been really, really good this week, said no one ever. And thank you to Samara Gill, who actually has been good. I, of course, have been outstanding, as always. So thank you all for tuning in. And don't forget, we'll be back same time, same place, right here on Talk next week. For another amazing edition of What Just Happened. Be there. What just happened?